Let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel like everybody else is doing better than you financially? Like all your friends have nicer cars, they're buying clothes all the time, they're going on like these fancy trips. And you're like, dude, I can hardly like cover groceries after I pay for rent. You're definitely not alone, and these are 6 reasons why it feels like everybody else has more money than you do. They actually do. This might be the least likely explanation. I don't know your financial situation, but it's possible that yes, some people actually do have more money. They worked hard for it, they paid off their debt, they pursued a maybe higher paying career or something that's more scalable, and they saved up and they actually bought those things and they deserve it. Maybe they had a peepaw who died and they inherited a bunch of money. I actually know somebody who that happened to. I didn't think that was like a real thing, but it happens. So I think the first thing before we get into kind of the more likely explanations is to just not compare yourself with others, because you don't know what circumstances they've dealt with, like if they grew up with rich parents or if they're completely self-made and they grew up with way worse situation than you. Like, you really don't know. All you can do is do the best with the cards that you've been dealt, with the hand that you've been given. As hard as it is to do, don't judge other people's spending habits unless you know the full story, and most likely you don't. But then of course, there's the social media effect. Social media in general is like a highlight reel. Influencers or even like your friends are just showing the best parts of their lives. So this can make it really easy for you to feel behind. Even as myself, who I've built like a channel, I've been able to build a life that I really enjoy living, I still feel that way when I see other people, because they're like traveling and you're home, or when you're traveling, they're home. Like whatever other people are doing, you feel like you want to be doing that thing too, because they're just showing the absolute best parts of that. They're showing themselves on a boat in the middle of the ocean fishing. They're not showing that they got seasick and they're throwing up out of their eyeballs, or that the boat that they're on, they're renting, or anything like that. So it's really hard to judge off of social media and that like whole effect that everybody just talks about and shows the best parts of their lives. Like nobody posts a picture of themselves being like, hey, I'm on the couch, I'm eating leftovers from 3 days ago, and I'm watching the same TV show I've seen 3 times. They just show the highlights. But again, like, who really cares? I found like a lot of like calm, and it really improved my life when I stopped going on social media a lot. Obviously in my case, it's part of my job to post and stuff, but I really dislike consuming other people's content on there, except for a few people who are actually positive. So if you're like feeling behind, maybe try taking a break from social media and instead like try to read some books that will improve your life, your finances, or actually like find a network of people who are also trying to improve their finances and doing different things. They're living for the now. When I used to feel like everybody was doing better than me, this is what I kind of realized was actually happening. I was really working on delayed gratification, right? I was being extremely frugal. I was investing everything. I was working extra, and I still drove an old beater car because I was building financial independence. I was building a life that I didn't want to escape from, and in order to do that and actually reach financial freedom, I had to sacrifice a lot of things. And sometimes I was like, why is this person driving a brand new car when mine is 10 plus years old? I just kind of like felt behind. But it was because they were living for right now, and this is what a lot of people do. That's why so many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, is because they don't think they can ever reach financial independence, and therefore they don't try for it, and they just enjoy their lives now, which is totally fine, but they just spend everything that they get. And by doing that, they're guaranteeing that they will have to work till they're 65 for somebody else, and they will never like build a lot of wealth. They'll never build a lot of freedom, but they might have a lot of stuff, and they always, just buy things whenever they want them, but they always have to go to work. For instance, if you look at the average American's car payment, it's over $600, $609. Yet 56% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account. Some people look at that and they're like, oh, okay, the cars are way too expensive. The economy is like, out of whack. But the reality is that people are not practicing delayed gratification. They are living for the now. They're maxing out as much car as they can possibly buy, even at the expense of their own like mental health, at the expense of like guaranteeing that you're gonna be stressed about money for a really long time. But you know what? They have a new car, so they look like they're doing well. A lot of times, the things people choose to spend money on don't really even make any sense, like paying for name brand things. Like, let's take the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. I've used expensive phone plans, which shall remain nameless, and I've used Mint Mobile, and it turns out it's literally the exact same thing, but it costs an insane amount less. I'm talking like 15 bucks a month for just as good service as I had before. It's just without the bells and whistles. They don't have stores. Their ads are really cheap. Got Ryan Reynolds in them. Some people have said we look alike. Mostly that guy. It is super simple to switch over, even so much that Meredith has done it. And you can have all that for just 15 bucks a month instead of the insane prices that some of these other companies charge. If you want to check them out, go to trymintmobile.com/Gabe. Right now, new customers can get any one of their plans for 3 months for just $45. So like 15 bucks a month for any of the plans. This is for new customers only. Speeds get slower after 40 gigabytes on unlimited. You can check out trymintmobile.com for details, but definitely check them out. There's a link down below. You won't regret it. Trust me. They borrowed their lives. A lot of Americans have actually kind of taken the fast route to getting all the things that they want, the new car, the house, whatever else they want. And that is because they're just borrowing it. They're getting debt, which you can get like a lot of debt right now. And that's something that we can't see. We can see the physical things that they're buying with the debt, but we cannot see this debt, which can last on people's for years or sometimes lifetimes. And it's not just the big things. There's stuff like Affirm where you can buy things on Amazon. You can buy a t-shirt or a blender or whatever, and you're making payments on that for years on just the everyday things. So even the small things can sometimes be financed and you would have no idea. So it might seem like they're doing better than you, they're spending all this money, but in reality, they don't even have the money for it. But that's something you can't see. You are being stingy. It's totally possible that in order to increase your savings rate, to save a certain amount of money, to reach your goals as fast as possible, you are taking it a little bit too extreme, and therefore you're sleeping on a couch in order to be able to retire in 4 years. I know it sounds extreme, but I've actually done similar stuff to that in my pursuit, where we were pretty much eating nothing but rice, beans, and like the cheapest bulk chicken that you can get, which is like totally fine. But also after a while, you do start to feel like everybody else is able to afford food, and you're causing yourself to be extremely deprived of like some basic things that are like enjoyable in life, just so that you can reach freedom faster. Again, looking back over my life, I wish I had, kind of calmed that down a little bit and realize that it's okay to go out to eat, a couple times a month and still enjoy your life a little bit. That being said, those were also really enjoyable and fun times for me. The pursuit of a goal that seems kind of unattainable are a lot of times the most enjoyable parts of your life. Even if it can be hard going through them at the time, it can be fun to kind of chase those. So you got to ask yourself, but if you've taken it too far, you can lose that fun and start to realize that, you are depriving yourself a little bit. And maybe that's why it seems like everybody's got more money than you. You're only comparing upwards. They say that comparison is the thief of joy. And that's because there is always somebody richer than you, pretty much always. So no matter how good you're doing, no matter how nice your new car is, somebody has a nicer new car. Like unless you have a Bugatti, somebody's probably got a more expensive car than you, got a nicer car. You get bored of yours after a couple months and then you want that one over there that your friend just got. So a better way to reframe this that can actually help you not feel like everybody's doing better than you is just ask, am I doing better than I was last year? Instead of comparing upwards to other people, compare backwards against yourself and ask, am I a better person than I was last year? Am I in a better financial situation? Am I in better health? Am I in better whatever? And this can also really help you, because if you're not in a better financial situation than you were last year, ask yourself that question. Then what you are doing is not working. You need to change that. It's not because somebody else did something different, it's because you have not improved your own life. If your health is worse now than it was a year ago, and it wasn't some freak thing that happened to you, but it was actually, you just stopped going to the gym, you started eating more pizza, then that's something that you can change to improve your life, to feel better every day. So just ask, am I better than I was last year? And this will get rid of a lot of that comparison trap, a lot of the social media effect, a lot of the things we talked about in this video. All comes back to comparing yourself against yourself and not against other people, and striving for continuous improvement. Another thing to keep in mind is that you don't actually want to be average. You don't want to be like everybody else, because the average American has like 20K in credit card debt, 35,000 in car loans, and 55,000 in student loans. So literally, if you have nothing, you're doing better than the average American. So it's important to remember, if you see that everybody has a new car, everybody has all these things that you wish you had, ask yourself, are they really doing better than you are? The average American's overweight, they're stressed out, they hate their job, they have debt. If your life is actually pretty good, confident in any of those areas, then you're doing better than a lot of people. And that can be encouraging. You can just chase for another area and then another area, then another. And as you get one win after another and you start to get out of debt and build towards something exciting, you realize that you don't need to compare with other people. If you want to find out some signs that you're actually doing better than you think you are financially, then check out this video right here. It's really good and can be really encouraging as you get, on this path to building wealth. So if you enjoy this video, subscribe, all that, check out this video.